In last year's trend prediction video, we predicted BRAT summer. So, buckle up. Hi, I'm Kathleen, and 1 year ago, we predicted some 2024 style trends based on the cultural climate and current stylistic appetites. So 1 year later, let's look back. What did we get right? What did we get wrong? And what will we be seeing in the year to come? Grab a drink, grab your glowing orb of choice. I have mine right here. And let's get into it. Now, usually when I do these style-based talking head videos, I really prepare. I do a lot of research, I write a script, but not today. Today we're relying on the super salient buoyancy of vibes. Just vibes to get us through. Because the world is a sinking Olympic-class ocean liner, and this little YouTube video is a floating slab of wood. So hop on. I'm sure there's enough room for at least one of us. Anyways, if you want to watch the 2024 trend predictions video, I got it linked down below. And the first trend we heard about was metallics. So metallics were on a lot of trend prediction lists for 2024. And as I mentioned in last year's video, I think this is mostly because these trend prediction lists usually come out at the end of the year, and metallics and shine are at their biggest and brightest for holiday, specifically New Year's styling. So I wasn't totally sold on this as like a trend for 2024 from the get-go. But what I do think we saw a lot of was metallic adjacent textures, like super shiny satin for a more romantic, girlish style choice, or like a shiny nylon, think the fabric that they make windbreakers out of, for more streetwear inspired looks. And in last year's video, my actual metallic prediction was more along the lines of molten poured metal, heavily inspired by the amount of attention that Schiaparelli was getting on the runways and in celeb styling at the time. Schiaparelli has tons of like surreal art inspired pieces that kind of feel like what Olympic gods might wear, or King Midas. And I think this very artsy ancient metal feeling did come through in 2024, but not in the Schiaparelli kind of way. Well, kind of, some, but more so in the medieval knight kind of way. I feel like chainmail and armor inspired pieces has slowly been making itself more and more known over the last couple years, which I love. And it was solidified this past year with Chapel Roan's Knight in Shining Armor Joan of Arc VMA performance. Oh my gosh. I'm always down for a little medieval revival. If you know me, I'm usually trying to look like a little squire page boy lad. So I love this energy. Last year we also talked about how this metallic trend might reveal itself in a softer way. My idea was that maybe in more iridescent or mother of pearl textures we might see this. And I think we were onto something because it dovetails nicely for the next prediction. Nautical. So sailing inspired nautical styling was predicted to be a thing last year. And okay, stripes, sure. All white workwear, kind of sailor-esque looks, okay. But my personal prediction from last year was that it was going to be subverted in kind of a nasty way. Nasty nautical. So I was picturing like beaded netting, crochet textures, organic pearl shapes, and specifically, this was my specific call out, oysters/clams, bivalves, both as a graphic element and as a replacement or a next step for the tinned fish obsession from like 2 or 3 years ago. And I think I was right, dude. The clam print from Lisa Says Ga flew off the shelves. Iridescent and shell-inspired manicures continued to grow in popularity. I think this also had to do with kind of the siren mermaid boho-inspired trends that were also gaining popularity. And during my recent trip to Japan at the end of 2024, I don't know how many oyster-inspired designs I saw, from plushies to accessories, silver oyster charms, crab claw charms. They were everywhere. I would slam 3 dozen oysters right about now. But we have no time.
It's a new year, but somehow my life still hasn't slowed down much since the holidays. I've jumped headfirst back into work and YouTube, and oftentimes that means I don't prioritize fueling myself properly. But thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Factor, I can take the stress out of meal prep and make sure my tummy stays full and happy. With Factor, you can get yummy, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door, and it's not a one-size-fits-all. There are over 35 different meals to choose from each week, including different options like veggie, which is the one I do, keto, Pro, Gourmet Plus. Factor also offsets 100% of delivery emissions and sources 100% renewable energy for their production sites and offices, which we love. There's nothing better than to jolt out of a work-induced fugue state, only to realize that you have not eaten yet, only to then realize again that you've got Factor waiting for you in the fridge. And having met a coconut curry chickpea I didn't like. So if you'd like to check out Factor for yourself, head to factor75.com or click the link below and use the code 50illustrated to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. That's code 50illustrated at factor75.com to get 50% off and free shipping on your first Factor box. Thank you, Factor. Now back to the video.
We must talk about bows. I can't believe that ribbons and bows have been so prominent for so long. That was a lie. I can actually totally believe it. Because this was not just a 2024 trend. This was not just a 2023 trend. Although I do think that's the year that the coquette aesthetic really raised its head, and the ballet core as well. Bows have been it for centuries. Yeah. And if you don't believe me, I literally made a video unveiling the bow/ribbon iceberg. So strap in. I have a doctorate degree in this. Anyways, part of my 2024 prediction was speculating on the next iteration of the bow/ribbon. And I thought maybe two different things. A more decorative route with predicting that rosettes would be the next bow. And then a more functional route predicting that knots would be the next favored closure type. So rosettes, yes, that happened. I mean, meanboulevard.com was really out here claiming that rosette core was a thing. What? I mean, it makes sense and it coalesces with the Y2K obsession, the romantic/coquettish styling. Popular accessory brand Chunks came out with this rosette hair clip as a direct iteration to their ribbon bow hair clip. They did the bow to rosette pipeline perfectly for us. Room Shop also had roses and other floral designs, but a lot of rosettes featured in their more recent releases, and they also previously had a bunch of bows, so fellow pipeliners. And then for the more functional side, talking about knots, I think this was pretty understated this year. I didn't see a ton of knotting being used in styling. Justice for knots, more knots in 2025. I'm editing this right now, and that's just not true. The paracord purse straps and trinket holders are so popular. So, also, I did not say this at the start, but I hope it's obvious. I really only just want people to wear what they want. I don't care about trends. I really don't. Wear bows, wear rosettes, wear knots, wear an 80s prom dress. We're all doing it. Nothing's off the table, folks. Anyways, on to our next prediction from 2024. That was Cardshark/Casinocore. I made this one up. I had a feeling. I imagined this old Vegas dice and card suits and ladies in suits smoking cigars in front of a slot machine with big hair. This idea was inspired a little bit by the supposed jazz club revival trend that was predicted, I think, by Pinterest at the start of 2024. And I was like, that doesn't sound real. But you know what does sound real? Vegas, baby. As far as I can tell, neither of those trends, the jazz club or the Casinocore, really were like a big thing this past year. But you know what did happen? Mob wife. And what do you think a mob wife would wear if they went to the casino? Which is something that a mob wife would do, might I add. Yeah, they'd probably wear something sequiny or a cool suit with big hair. So, by the mob wife proxy, this happened. It totally happened. I'm just trying to make myself feel better. And as far as mob wife goes, I was thinking about this and I'm like, you know what also came to streaming services on January 1st of 2024? The Sopranos. It all makes sense, people. We don't live in a bubble. Things happen for reasons. Why am I yelling? I'm sorry. All right, since I'm already yelling, let's talk about another flop prediction from 2024. The wrestling/boxing inspired clothing prediction. I thought this was gonna explode because wrestling shoes/boxing boots had popped up a little bit even before the start of 2024. And I thought those were gonna be the direct answer to the samba that was like, I thought it was oversaturated at the start of last year, but it just continued to gain momentum this past year. I also thought for sure with the release of the Iron Claw, late 2023, early 2024, that 80s wrestling aesthetic was most certainly going to be a big thing. Was it? I don't know. I think it was just wishful thinking on my part because I love a wrestling boot or boxing boot. I love a shiny little pair of shorts. But you know what? I can just wear it if I want. It doesn't have to be a trend. Why am I yelling again? Sorry. Next trend trend prediction, Trompe prints, or tricking the eye prints, optical illusion prints. So this was inspired by the rise of the Schiaparelli styling in early 2024. They're really well known for these like fake body pieces or like fake toes and fake fingers. It's weird and cool. And also by a lot of the fake body prints I was seeing on t-shirts or dresses. But honestly, I didn't really see this trend extend outside of its normal suspects of Schiaparelli and Jean-Paul Gaultier. Speaking of that though, I really want to try my hands at making one of these JPG pieces, like a Gaultier-inspired thrift flip. I feel like my entire closet could be filled with fake clothing painted on clothing by the end of this year. And I guess we did see some kind of like second skin pieces, like corsets and latex body pieces. If you happen to watch the most recent season of Love is Blind, at the reunion, Taylor was wearing like this metal body breastplate, and I was like, damn, okay. Love this take on a bulletproof vest. Okay, let's rapid fire the next ones. Bootleg merch / subversive merch. Yeah, I mean, I think folks definitely continued to do upcycled and DIY'd versions of licensed characters, but it wasn't like a big explosive trend of 2024, I don't think. Another trend was makeup as art, not perfection, so I do think that this happened to an extent, but not in the way that I thought it would. So I was imagining that people would dive more into literal abstract shapes in their makeup or more graphic liner in everyday makeup looks to combat against this idea of using makeup more to align with beauty standards, but instead we would use it as literal art on our face. And I don't know if that really happened so much, at least not in super mainstream instances, but what I did notice was perhaps a skewing away from a focus on makeup to align with beauty standards and more towards personal grooming and skincare to do those things. Ideas like skinimalism. I don't like that word. It makes me feel weird. The idea that injectables and medical facials are becoming more prevalent and also more easily accessible. I really do wonder if the continued rise of K-pop has had a hand in that specifically. The popularity rising of cosmetic procedures and medi-spas due to their commonality in the idol world. I'm not judging. I'm just pondering over here. Just pondering. All right, another one of my predictions was to see more secondhand styling, specifically on the runway and on celebrities, like very high profile instances of this. And I think this was just a hopeful prediction on my end, and I think it kind of happened. I mean, secondhand style, specifically vintage styling, has certainly gained popularity in the mainstream, especially when highlighted by popular public figures. But you know, I'm not going to be happy till everyone's wearing secondhand all the time forever. Amen. Why am I yelling? Okay, and at the end of my trend prediction videos, I always like to ask the audience what they think, so let's get into the audience predictions from last year. We talked about a couple, like an increase in the exploration of non-flattering, I'm using big air quotes, silhouettes, which I do think happened, and I love that. And here's the one that I really want to harp on: green. How did y'all know that green was going to blow up in such a major way in 2024? Do you have Charlie XCX's personal telly? When I saw this green prediction over and over in the comments, I was like, I don't know, because it immediately reminded me of how explosive neon and specifically slime green was in 2019 and 2020. I thought there was no way that we were going to boomerang back as a culture so quickly to this specific shade of green after we slime time lived ourselves into oblivion just a few years ago. But then summer of 2024, BRAT was dropped and we have never been the same. I love how a color can become so synonymous with an idea, in this case this idea of being young and reckless and rebellious and dancing, and maybe we were just hankering for a new color after the Barbie pink infested waters that we endured in 2023. I'm a green fan myself, and I loved having a BRAT summer, but am I the only one who thinks of this every time I see this? Or am I broken? And finally, the one thing that I wasn't predicting for 2024 trends, the minimalism, the girl next door of it all, especially this last fall. The Twilight, Gilmore Girlification of an entire planet really caught me off guard. And honestly, the leaning back into this quote-unquote plain Jane style, I don't mean that in a mean way. I think it says a lot about how the masses are reacting to the constant deluge of information we're faced with every day, the capital H horrors that we're faced with every day, but we're going to talk more about that next week. Speaking of that, we've looked back on the past year, but now it is time to look forward. So, what do you think we're going to see in style in the cultural trendgeist, I just made that up, of 2025? Drop it down in the comments and we'll talk about it next week when we chat about my 2025 trend predictions. Also, let me know if you were surprised by any of the trends that happened in this last year. If you care about trends at all. That's kind of the camp that I fall into, but it doesn't mean we can't facilitate a conversation around it and what it means for the larger world that we live in. Okay, I'm gonna let you go. But before I go, I just wanted to say thank you so much for 100,000 subscribers. Huh? What the heck is even all that about? We'll talk about that more in a future video, but thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. We did it, y'all. If you want to keep in touch over the next week between postings, you can come hang out on Instagram at kathleenillustrated. And me and my glowing orb are gonna get out of here. So be good, be stinky, and I love you. Okay, bye.